Talk nasty to them, ladies. Just don't forget. Keep that shit classy.
Let's get nasty, nasty. Let's get nasty, nasty. Let's get nasty, nasty. Let's get nasty, nasty. Spit on it, get on it. If you got enough, I flip on it. Climb to the top, do a split on it. Them bitches ain't never did this on it. Let's get nasty, nasty. Let's get nasty, nasty. Let's get nasty, nasty. Let's get nasty, nasty.
Hey y'all, welcome to TalkSpicyHER. It's your girl Big Memphis, and today we're just going to be talking about ourselves and where we are present day, how we're feeling. We don't really have a direction of where we're going, but we're just going to be talking about how we're feeling, what's going on with us right now. So here we go. All right.
So, how are you feeling today?
I'm okay.
At this moment?
I feel okay. As of right now, this moment.
Currently. Yeah. At 6:59 p.m.
I'm all right. I
Okay.
feel okay. I don't really have a lot of feelings right now. I'm kind of blank. I'll be honest with you.
When people ask you that on a daily basis, they say, how are you doing?
I always say fine.
Do you mean that?
No, but I'm not going to just tell them, oh, God, this is what's happening with me. You just say fine. That's just what you're supposed to say. No one really cares at the end of the day. I don't think people really care about how you're actually feeling, because if you gave them a rundown, what are they going to do?
You're right. Nobody can fix your problems.
Right.
But why do you not feel like you can express that? Why do you not feel comfortable being that vulnerable with whoever asks you that? Because you don't know who means that when they ask you.
I don't know. It just depends on who it is. If it's a close friend of mine, I might tell them how I'm really doing. But in passing, or if it's just somebody, I'm not going to spill all that out, you know. But if it's a friend and I'm feeling like I want to expose how I'm really feeling, then I'll put that out there.
Since I'm your friend, you trust me, you know, we've been vulnerable with each other.
Yes, I am.
Are you okay? And when I ask you that, I mean, are you okay? Your insides. How are your emotions? How do you feel in this present time?
I'm uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable where I am, like right now in life. It's kind of an undescribable feeling. I'm just not comfortable right now in what I'm doing at this current moment. Like, I feel kind of all over the place.
What's uncomfortable about your situation?
I guess being by myself, that's the biggest thing. Like, I'm alone, and that it's taken some time to get used to. It's new, so it's leaving me open. Yeah.
So you've always had somebody by your side?
Not always, but I feel like that's a part of it. Like, I feel like I have abandonment issues. Like, I feel like I've been in a place where I haven't had people, and then when you have people and you don't anymore, you don't know what to do with that time. You don't know what to do with that space anymore. Mm-hmm. So that's why.
How do you feel when you're alone? Like, what is that feeling? You're at your house, you're sitting alone, TV might be on, by yourself, no distractions, dogs away, baby boy is with his dad. How do you feel?
Anxious. 9 times out of 10. Mind always running. Trying to occupy my time, I'll probably clean my house or just trying to do something to distract myself from my own thoughts, because I'm going to overthink everything being by myself.
In overthinking, what's the first thing you begin to think about?
Probably what's next, trying to anticipate what's going to happen next for me. Something I can't predict.
And you're in counseling. We've talked about that on the show.
Yeah.
When you're in counseling and have you talked about this type of, what does she say when you're in that moment of anticipating what's next?
Just
like, what is to
be patient.
The advice?
She's always be patient, and I'm always so ready to get done with this chapter. Like, I'm always so ready to get over this part and to get to what's supposed to be good or what's supposed to be real or just what's supposed to happen next. And she's like, just wait, because you need to be in this moment. You need to be uncomfortable right now to figure out what's going to happen next. And sometimes I can't. I can see what's going to happen and I'm ready to get there. Like, I know that I'm strong and I know that I'll get through it, but sometimes it seems like it's going to take forever. Because it always goes back to being by myself. Like, I hate to go through this shit alone. Not even with a man. Like, I would love for my friends to just pop up on me, or somebody just come by my crib and see how I'm doing. Like, I know I have to go through this alone, and it's uncomfortable, and it's nobody's fault that they're not there for me. You know, I have to go through this, but I don't want to. Like, I don't want to go through this by myself. I have no family here. It's just me. You know, so that is uncomfortable for me to be here by myself.
Why do you feel like you are not enough for you?
I don't know.
Are you comfortable with who you are as a person?
No. I'm getting there, but right now I'm not.
I'm good at this. What don't you like about yourself?
It's not that I don't like something about myself.
What aren't you comfortable with about yourself?
I don't know. Like, I have like self-esteem issues that I struggle with, body image. I don't know. Like, I guess what I'm allowing myself to go through with men. Like, sometimes men make you feel like you're not good enough. And I believe that. I almost believe what people say about me and to me. I damn near believe that that's true. Things that people say to me.
When you talk about your self-esteem issues and body image issues, how do you feel? Is there a resolution to that? How do you feel like you can work on that?
I just need to love myself. That's just it. I have to care about myself more. And I don't think I do that enough. I don't speak to myself in a positive manner like I should. And that's what we talk about in therapy. It's like being good to yourself and giving yourself grace. And I have to do that more because I don't do that enough. I speak negatively to myself, and I'm learning to not do that, but it's hard. I think that I've been beat down so much with words that I start to believe that shit is true, and I know it's not. So after the damage has been done, I have to pick myself back up after these words have been spoken to me, or, you know, someone has said something to me. Now I got to fix that for myself because who else is going to do it?
So when you say you know it's not, do you believe that that's not, like, in your being? Do you feel like I'm a badass? Like, do you get what I'm saying? Like, how your faith, how much you believe in, you know, in a higher power. Do you believe that in yourself? Believe it, not know it. Those are two different things.
If that's hard. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, like, if I'm dressed up and I'm out with my girls and I feel confident, yes. But just on a random Tuesday and I'm sitting on my couch, no. It's a time and a place. If I'm out and I put myself together, then I feel like I believe that I'm that. But if I'm not super dressed up and going out and getting pretty, I don't believe that. And I don't know why. I don't know what event has happened in my life that I don't believe that about myself.
How do you work on that? What are you doing progressively to, on the random Tuesday with your sweatpants, hair tied, chilling with no makeup on? How are you going to make yourself grow from that space that you're in mentally to now, like, I'm bad either way?
Just pouring into myself more, like actively speaking to myself better. I'm starting to journal, like write down good things. Waking up with a different mindset, waking up and pouring positivity into myself. So I feel like when I wake up on that, I have a better day. So just actively doing stuff for myself, making myself feel better, speaking to myself better, and telling myself that that's not true. I know it's not true. Like, other people say it to me, but until I start to believe it, then it's just not gonna be there until I believe it. But I feel it coming. Like, when I say I'm in such an uncomfortable place and I know that better is coming, like, I know that that's gonna happen for me. I just don't know when. Yeah.
Why do you feel like you're in such a hurry to get to that space?
Because no one wants to be uncomfortable. Shit, I'm ready to get out of this space of being uncomfortable. Like, I am always anxious and I'm always in a damn near panic, you know? I don't like to be in that. That's why I'm in such a hurry. It's not like I'm in a hurry to do anything specific. I'm just in a hurry to not be uncomfortable, to be comfortable with me being alone and be okay with that, because I'm not okay with that. And it's been a short time, and I think I'm just trying to rush it because I am so uncomfortable. But that's where I'm trying to get to, a comfortable place.
So instead of rushing to get to that space, how could you accept and sit and be still in the space that you're in?
Constantly, for one, my faith. Getting down on my knees and praying to God and asking Him, you know, because ultimately, my faith, and I'm not perfect in this walk, but I know for a fact that God has my back. You know, when I sit down and I pray and I talk to Him, I know ultimately I'm gonna be okay, because I know that He's gotten me this far with everything that I've gone through in my life. God has always been there for me. And though my walk has been shaky and I ain't been perfect, I know for a fact that He's the be all for me, you know.
Are you striving to be perfect? Is that your goal?
No, heck no. I'm just striving to walk with God and be better in His image, you know, how He made us.
The place that you're trying to reach right now, what does that look like? The place that you're rushing to.
Happy and comfortable in my own skin and loving myself and getting to.
Is there a visual, like, as far as where you're living, your friend, like, what would change about your atmosphere, if that makes sense?
I don't even think it's like a visual. It's just a state of being, like, with myself. Like, I'm fine. I have everything on my own. I'm okay with that. It's just a state of mindset, I think, for me, of where I want to be healthy in my mind. Nothing to do with, like, how I'm living, because I think I'm doing okay. It's as far as my mindset, I want to be in a better place with that.
What role do you feel like relationships, when I say relationships, I mean romantic relationships, play a part in where you're at currently?
Probably 60%. Yeah.
And when you come to that place of peace and comfortability, are you in a romantic relationship? Like,
No.
Okay.
No, because right now, like, I was just in a relationship for 6 years, and then that wasn't necessarily peace or comfortability for me. So no, I think that's going to come from myself. I think 100% that's going to come from me. Yeah, that when I think about that, I don't think it involves a relationship.
Do you prefer to be in a relationship? Like, or are you learning to be happily single or happily alone?
I'm learning to be happily alone. Because I wasn't in a relationship for years, and then I was in a 6-year relationship. And now I'm by myself, and I think that quick transition is what kind of fucked me up. Yeah.
So give us some examples of what you're going to be doing to actively pour into yourself outside of affirmations and praying.
I feel like that's a lot. Like, getting up in the morning, spending time with myself, meditating and praying and talking to God. I think God is the biggest part of it. So when you say outside of that, it ain't a whole lot outside of that. Like, that's it for me. I feel like God is going to be the one to get me through this. That's the only person that's going to be able to get me through this. Surrounding myself with good people, talking about it, being vulnerable to my friends, the people that care, and being good to myself and giving myself some grace, because I'm hard on myself. Like, I feel like sometimes I shouldn't be, like, the things that I do or some of the shit that I say. I'm like, man, why did you say that? Or why'd you do that? Like, I have to give myself grace. Like, everything that I do isn't perfect, but I said that shit for a reason, or I did that for a reason. And regardless if it was uncomfortable when I said it or did it, I did that because I felt that at that time. So regardless of what I've done in this moment, in this uncomfortableness, it's something that is going to either open my eyes when I get to that good place, or I don't think anything is for regret. Like, even though I cringe at some of my behavior, like some of the shit I say and do, like, ultimately it all pulls together for the greater of who I'm supposed to be eventually. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Who you are.
Yeah.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind that you regret? That you feel like you shouldn't have done, shouldn't have said, shouldn't have acted on?
Allowing these men to play with me, probably. Allowing them to... taking more than what I... like, they don't deserve to talk to me like that. They don't deserve to treat me like that. Like, I feel like I've allowed stuff that I've never allowed in my past because I'm vulnerable. Because I'm in this state of, I don't know, and I'm alone, you know? So I'm kind of accepting whatever. Like, whatever you do, however you talk to me, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Because I'm in this moment of vulnerability and I'm not even caring. I'm like, whatever. I'll take whatever you're giving me at this moment. And that was just like a couple weeks ago. I've kind of changed over from then to now because I'm like, I'm realizing now that I don't deserve that. But 2 weeks ago, I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. You know, that's how I know it's like ever changing.
Where do you feel like that comes from? If you had to dig deep for you to accept certain behavior from certain people, where do you think that comes from?
Probably childhood. Mm-hmm. Probably the fear of being abandoned, because being a child of kind of being bounced around in house to house, you're always in a state of what's next or what's going to happen. And kind of not having the answers to that is like the fear of abandonment. Like, you get attached to someone quickly and then they leave you and you're like, well, what's wrong with me? You know? And I feel like I've carried that from childhood to adulthood. And now I have to learn how to manage those emotions and behaviors because I'm not a child anymore. Like, that's becoming an excuse now. And now I have to figure out what I'm going to do in order to change that and not make that an excuse and figure out what the solution is to those abandonment issues, because I'm 34 now. I can't keep using that, you know. Like, yeah, sure, I have abandonment issues, but I shouldn't allow you to talk to me that way. I shouldn't accept that. And that's where I am, trying to figure out what to do with that.
So you referenced your childhood. Is that something you're comfortable with talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Abandonment issues when it comes to your childhood, where does that stem from? Where were you abandoned at as a child?
Girl.
Like, what, I mean, you know, where'd it come from? I think getting it out and pouring it out, that's kind of the point in this. This is a safe zone. There's a bunch of people I'm sure that can relate to you and your story and your childhood and your growth and where you're at now as a person. Like, just know everything that you speak today is power, regardless of how it makes you feel in the moment.
I don't know.
You know, that's the thing, you know.
Abandonment, I mean, my parents, my dad took custody of me when I was 8. And then he left me almost immediately. Just put me off on other people. And for him to be, you know, they say your dad's your first love. For him to leave me so early, it's probably affected me the most. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's where a lot of it comes from. So he left me, you know, early on for other women. I just had to, you know, jump off the porch early and do what I needed to do to grow up super fast. Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of common knowledge, but as far as the role your dad played, do you feel like those emotions that were put into the relationship with your dad, you reflect them on your current relationships with men? Like you look for them for acceptance and for love and for...
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I do. I mean, I think it's natural to want what you didn't have, and you probably look for that in your partner.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And do you feel like, is your dad the only one that abandoned you as far as your parents go in your childhood?
I mean, I think there was like some natural abandonment that didn't have anything to do with someone willingly leaving me. Like, after him, my mom didn't really abandon me. I was taken from her. She had her own issues, but she was there. And then when I got older and I lived with my brother and his wife, she became like my mom to me. Mm-hmm. I called her Mommy, and she died when I was a senior in high school. I mean, she didn't have any control over that, but she was the only stability that I had in my life. Mm-hmm. So, her leaving with, we didn't have any control over that, but it's still abandonment to me. I didn't have that. I didn't have her anymore. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's just always losing people in my life, my oldest brother, and passed away. It's just like everybody that was good to me or everybody that I looked up to or needed some type of validation from left. So it's like you got to be strong, you have to be this, and I'm a girl, I don't want to do that all the time. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
So now being grown, you're a parent yourself. Do you feel like you not project, you overcompensate for those type of misses that you were missing for your child? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, do you feel like you want to make sure that he knows that you're there at all times, every day of the...
Probably. I feel like that because sometimes I'm prepared to go somewhere and do something, and if he's crying or, this, sometimes I can't even get out the house because I feel like if my son is crying and it's like snotty nose and he's having a fit, I will damn near cancel because I'm like, I don't want to see him crying for me like that. I don't want to see him yelling and screaming and having a fit. How am I going to walk out on that? That takes so much from me. Mm-hmm. It takes so much out of me to see him yelling and crying and screaming behind me because I know how it feels to watch my mama leave and know I'm not going to see her for days. Mm-hmm. So for him to cry, now I'm coming back, but just to see that, to visualize him crying, and I know he's going to be fine in a few minutes, but it takes so much out of me that I will cancel plans. And I have. Mm-hmm. Like, I've not gone to places because of that.
How do you feel about motherhood? How do you feel you are as a mom? If you had to grade yourself and look at how you parent, how you meet his needs, how do you feel like you are as a mom?
I think I do good as a mom. I think that, I do the best that I can. I'll say that. I do the best that I can with him. All of his needs are met. He works on my nerves sometimes because he's 4, but at the end of the day, I try my best to be patient with Brayden and do what I'm supposed to do. And I lose my temper quick, and I snap, and I yell sometimes, but I always try to come back and let him know that, Mommy's sorry, or I didn't mean that, because sometimes I will snap for no reason because I don't understand that he's 4 years old. Mm-hmm. But I always try to come back to let him know that Mommy is sorry, and I didn't mean it like that. Because I didn't, I don't remember getting that. I don't remember saying somebody telling me that they didn't mean that or they didn't mean to hurt me. So I think that's important in children, especially him being that young.
Definitely. What are your highs as a parent, as a mom, as a co-parenter? What do you know what do you feel great about?
Just knowing that I know that he has a good life right now. He doesn't have to worry about anything. with me or his dad. Like, he has a good life on both ends when we were together, and now that even when we're not together, we do the best that we can collectively to make him have a good life. He doesn't have to want for anything. We make sure that we nurture him. We tell him we love him. We're soft with him when we can be, and I think that's a good thing. No matter what differences are between us, I think we still have the common goal of making sure that he's okay. Mm-hmm. So,
when it comes to co-parenting, what do you feel like you can improve on?
Probably communication. I'm so snappy with him sometimes, and that has nothing to do with us co-parenting. That just has probably a lot to do with our relationship and shit that went wrong. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just not being mean to mm-hmm. him sometimes.
What's the perfect world you co-parenting? What do you want your guys' relationship to look like?
Like, we had a friendship, like how we were before we met, just being actual friends and caring about each other in a good way, where it's not, we don't have to talk about our feelings and how we feel towards each other or what's next for us. I want us to be able to co-parent and focus on braiding, and us also have a friendship that doesn't involve anything romantic. Like, can we just co-parent and get along for right now? Like, I don't know what the future holds, and I don't even want to talk about a relationship with you right now. I want to focus on our kid and what's next for us as co-parents. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes he gets caught up in, other stuff. And so do I. Like, we're not perfect, and this is new. So we both got a lot of work to do to take what we had out of it and just focus on our kid. Because we get caught up in shit that doesn't have anything to do with him. Our personal shit that shouldn't even involve him. Right. That doesn't involve him, really.
And I feel like when it comes to co-parenting, there's always a finger being pointed where it's the baby mama's crazy, the baby daddy ain't doing shit, the baby, back and forth.
Right.
What role do you accept that you play in it not being where you want it to be now? Does that make sense? Like, what could you improve on right now?
I don't know. I know when it first happened, I always compared, because he has 2 other children, I always compared that to when we first got together, how often he had his children and how hands-on he was with them. So I expected, as soon as we broke up, for him to do the same thing with mine. He had his kids 4 to 5 days a week sometimes. Mm-hmm. Not that I want my son to be gone that long, but I just immediately expected him to be doing what he's doing with his previous children. And I know this is a transition for him, and I think that wasn't fair of me to kind of immediately be like, I saw you do this with the girls, so you should be able to do this with my son. Mm-hmm. Like, he just went through a breakup. Like, has a different living situation, so I needed to be accepting of that. And I wasn't. I just expected him to do. And I don't think I really thought about what he was going through and what he had going on. So I feel like maybe I should have been more accepting to what's happening with him, because he's also going through a breakup that he didn't initiate,
What can you do to help him in this scenario, since it seems to be hard for both of you in this transition?
Help him as far as what?
As far as making it easier for his emotions, for your emotions, for...
I think just respecting each other's boundaries. Just making sure we have clear-cut boundaries on what we expect from one another and how we're going to go moving forward, because we've broken up before and we didn't respect each other's boundaries and it went bad, real bad. Mm-hmm. So this time, just respecting each other's boundaries and effective and clear communication to one another of how we're going to navigate this co-parenting thing. And we don't need to have no gray area. There needs to be clear cut on, this is what we're doing. There's no, this is all about our kid, and that's what needs to happen. I feel like once you start bringing in the emotion of what you guys used to have, that's when shit gets shady and you don't know, it's muddy and mm-hmm. I don't want that again for us. I want us to be able to move on happily. I know it's different for him, But for me, I just want us to be able to coexist and be friends one day.
Would you have another kid?
Maybe. If I met a man who ain't had no kids.
Do you want more children?
No, not really.
No.
I mean, I don't know. It just depends on whoever I meet next and how in love I am. I don't know if I want no other kids. I'll be 35 next year, so it's just an age thing for me.
I'm a cool mom. You're still young. You still got it.
I'm a cool mom. But yeah.
Yeah. Did I miss anything? Is there something that you feel like you weren't able to express that I can dig deeper into?
No.
How about friendships? I feel like we kind of talked about you. We talked about childhood. We talked about Braden, co-parenting. How are your friendships right now?
I think I have good friendships. I think I have some pretty solid friendships. Most of my friendships are 10 to 20 years in the game. Most of them. I think that all of my friends serve a different purpose. I'm always pulled in different directions. Like, I have two best friends that are up in Raleigh. I have you that's here. Then I have, like, Brittany, Libby, and Crystal, them that are, like, it's all different. Like, those have been my friends for 20 years. And then I have Carlos who's been my friends for over 15 years. And then I'm with you the most out of everybody. So everybody's dynamic is different. Everybody plays a different role in my life. But it's all effective at the end of the day. Like,
and it is. And I actively tell people that. I'm like, Michelle's my best friend.
yeah.
She has a bunch of other best friends, and I don't fucking know how she does it, because there's no fucking way. For me, I personally, I can have friends, but then I can have like a best friend who I like, that's a lot to navigate.
Everyone doesn't have a best friend title. Like, everyone does not have a best friend title. I have best friends, and then I have.
But
really
you have
good friends.
more than one best friend.
Yes.
That's a lot to juggle.
I don't think so.
Good for you. One, I'm stressed.
No one's weird about it. Like, no one's, like, everybody, like, first of all, Carla and Ashley, they both live in Raleigh. So I make time to go see them. They make time to come see me, and that's what it is. I try to make time for all my friends. I get salty about friendships too. Like, I really had to take myself back from a place of, like, my friends were hanging out without me, and I'm just like, how dare they, but that is their dynamic. Like, that is them, and they have a different connection than I do with them, and I had to accept that. I used to get jealous, like, how dare they go out to level 5 with and didn't ask me. But when I've accepted, like, this is the role that I play in their lives, and that's the role that they play in mine, I've fully accepted that. I used to be upset about that shit until I grasped that they're still my friends. Like, the dynamic is just different, and I am okay with that, because I know if I needed them, like, they'll be there. Everybody has a role to play. I call different friends for different situations that I encounter. There's some shit I'm not gonna call you about that I can call Brittany about. Because it depends on how hard I really want to be judged in that moment. Like, I'm not.
Wait a minute. Am I a hard judge, or I'm not a judger?
Or how much I want to be criticized, because sometimes there's some shit I know for a fact I probably should not be doing. So I'm like, all right, let me call Libby.
So you won't call.
She's always with the shit. Just do it.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Yeah. You want to go out?
What role do you feel like what's your main role in all of those relationships that you kind of juggle? Who do you feel like you are as a friend?
I feel like I have to break it down by groups.
Go
I feel like with Carla and with Ashley, I'm always the fun one. Like, they know I'm about to come through, turn up, have a good time. I'm goofy. I'm funny. And they know for a fact we're going to have a good time when we go out, because we're going to go out. Or we're going to have, like, a nice girls' night in, which usually turns into us going out. And then I feel like with Brittany and Libby, them, it's different. It's like, I'm emotional. I am emotional, but they're like, oh, Lord, here go Michelle. Like, she's going to cry. It's so, which is odd, because we all cry, but they're like, yeah, she probably going to cry. And I'm older than them, but they treat me like I'm younger. They're like, you know, we gotta look out for Michelle.
Oh, Taint, you gotta console her tonight.
It's so odd because I'm one of the oldest in my friend groups, but I'm always treated like I'm younger. Like people always have to take care of me, and that's normal. But I feel like I'm always a good time. I'm always a light. Like I feel like I'm always somebody that's gonna come in and you're gonna be happy to see me. Like I'm not no negative, weird ass vibe. Like I feel like I'm always a good energy to be around. I try to be, you know.
If you had to write a short paragraph, this is going to be my last question, about you as a person, as a mom, as a friend, as a co-worker, as a sister, as a daughter, as a being, what does that look like?
A short paragraph.
Well, it could be two. It could be two.
No, I mean, I don't think I have a lot, or maybe I do, but I'm always striving to be the best person that I am. I know that I have flaws, but at the end of the day, I feel like I always have good intentions. It might not come across like that, but I'm always trying to be the purest form of myself. I hold back a lot. I'm embarrassed a lot of just random shit. But I feel like I always have a good interest. Like, I always have pure intentions. I have a good heart. I want to do what's right. I love God. I'm on this walk that I'm trying to be better in, but at the end of the day, I know that I have good, pure intentions, and I know that anybody that's around me is going to know that. I feel like I carry myself like that. Even though I'm unsure of myself sometimes, I still feel like I put out good energy, and I put out what I want to receive. Even though it's hard for me to communicate that, I always try to exude what I would like to accept. Even though it's hard for me to put into words sometimes, I want to do what's right. I want to do what's good. And I feel like I deserve for that shit to come back to me in some form. So just be a good person. And I try to do my best to do good by people. And that's all I can do.
Girl, that's all I got for you, friend. I think you did great. I'm going to give it a look because I'm proud of you, and I'm happy that you were able to be vulnerable and transparent, and don't know another big word like that, but you did a great job. How do you want to wrap this up?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm socially awkward. But yeah, thanks for listening. And I hope y'all took something from this. I'm trying to be extremely as transparent as I can. And I hope somebody can relate to this, because this is some uncomfortable shit to talk about. So yeah. Peace out. Subscribe, share. Oh yeah. Subscribe and share. Every Friday, 6 p.m.
Just don't forget. Keep that shit classy.
Let's get nasty, nasty.